into acting, and I'm not writing about this because I don't think I've seen this. You directed an episode of Sopranos, didn't you?
Yeah, I directed an episode in the 5th season.
Yeah.
Sentimental Education. It was the one where Edie Falco, Carmilla, had an affair with the teacher. I'm the one who got her to take off her pants.
And, in addition to all this, he's a theater director, he's an actor who began with Stella Addy, and a writer and scholar of some considerable renown. Last night, I had the pleasure of being up at I had the pleasure anyway, of being at the Indianapolis Art Museum.
I enjoyed it too.
and talking about Orson Welles' Touch of Evil for a while. I would have talked about you, Peter, but I thought maybe also he just leaned over and whispered to me before we started, ask me about Renoir. And I'm going to do that. But I want to make a transition for a minute from last night to here. I hope I remember this accurately, but I once heard you say in an interview that you felt that Welles was the biggest influence on you as a filmmaker, but not visually. Is that right? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, his influence on me was more in terms of his, I don't know exactly what, as a person, he was influential on me. I made my first film before I met him, but after meeting him, he kind of opened up gave me a kind of freedom, I think. I'm not sure exactly, but he became a kind of older brother, father figure to me. And I picked up a lot of things, including when and how to tip. What restaurants were best, and what to read. He steered me toward Robert Graves, who was his favorite writer, along with Isak Dinesen. And Graves meant a lot to me. So I don't know that I don't make films the way he did. But in certain ways, we were similar. In the way we work with actors, I think he was very congenial with actors, as I am.
I said last night, and you may not agree, some filmmakers don't like to have their work dissected or anything, but I think a lot of people have noticed that your films are about a kind of a preoccupation with the past, a sort of poignancy about things that are lost as time moves on. And I think Welles' films are about that as well.
And Ford.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know where that comes from, but there it is. There's a Frenchman doing a book about me, and he's calling it The Cinema as Elegy. But it's a very French title. But it's apt.
And the other thing, and here we get to Renoir, one of the things that strikes me about your films is that the famous line from Renoir, everybody has their reasons. And I wonder about, it's as though the characters are treated with a certain equanimity and generosity, even the bad characters. And I wonder, did you know Renoir well?
Oh, he was the best. He was an extraordinary man. He was saint-like. I mentioned him once to Leo McCarey, and McCarey said, I always felt he was too good for the business. And I said, well, he's sort of a saint, isn't he? He said, that's what I mean. He was just a wonderful human being, and a generous spirit, and very encouraging, and funny. And I'll tell you one story that sums up a lot of what he was like. In the late 60s, the Los Angeles Museum ran a cycle of all the Renoir films. And I saw a lot of them that I hadn't seen, and one of them was Boudou Saved from Drowning. And I came back from seeing him, went over to his house in Beverly Hills, and I said, Jesus, John, I just saw Boudou Saved from Drowning. What a great film. Oh, thank you very much, you're very kind. No, but really, I mean, it's just a great film. I hadn't seen it. It's just extraordinary. Thank you. You are very kind. No, what do you think of it, Sean? Well, it was made at the beginning of sound, and some of the sound is not so good. And, we had no money, so we could not buy the film stock immediately, everything. So we had to buy it every week and every other week, and so sometimes the stock does not match, and sometimes the cutting is a little too fast, and sometimes the cutting is a little too slow. I think maybe it is my best picture. Another time he said, I introduced my mother to him, and we were having a conversation about dubbed films that are dubbed. And he said, in a really civilized time, like the 12th century, a man would be burned at the stake as a heretic who dubbed films for presuming that two souls can exist in one body. Then the conversation passed on, and Nixon was president at that time, so we talked about the president, and my mother said, it's funny, when he talks, his gestures don't seem to go with what he's saying. He seems out of sync or something. And a minute passed, and Renoir said, Madame, I have it. Nixon is dubbed.
I want to get back toward your work. Another director.
And I think my favorite film of all, really, if you said one film you can take on a desert island, I would take French Can-Can, which was the film that Renoir made in the mid-50s with Jean Gabin. He called it an ode to show business, and it is that. It's a wonderful film.